This is Life Lessons Lounge, and I'm Migena Gjerazi. Here, we explore diverse life stories and the wisdom they hold. Let's delve into the stories that shape us, teach us, and connect us all.
Okay, here we are. We are here with myself, Leilani Lucero. We're here with Migena, your podcast host typically, and we are here with Spirit. And Spirit is leading today's beautiful interview with our incredible host, Migena. I'll introduce a little bit about me. I am Leilani Lucero. I'm an Akashic Records practitioner. I've been doing this for many years, and I'm also a spiritual teacher. I'm a healer, and Migena and I have known each other for quite a while now. We've moved through different parts of our own journey in witnessing each other through that. And most recently, Migena has been deep in expansion in her own spiritual actualization of self and her own higher consciousness. And what came through one day when we were connecting was a spirit, because I channel and I am an open channel, these things are coming through all the time. So everything that comes through is spirit led and I am spirit guided. Spirit asked Migena if she had ever thought about being interviewed in her own podcast, because there is much of her own experience, her own humanity that is desired to be shared with her listeners. And, there was some nerves and there was some, okay, maybe not yet. And it was strongly encouraged by Spirit to allow this sacred interview to take place, and it is more a conversation between Migena and Spirit, and we, even myself as the channel, we are meant to just witness the sanctity of this beautiful communion of deep consciousness of our one's own sacred self, Migena in this case, and Spirit. And so this is meant to be a beautiful co-creation, and we as listeners are being encouraged to really hold it as sacred. This is Migena's heart, Migena's spirit and soul that we will be speaking with. And so with that, I am very excited to be here. I'm very touched to play a very small role in this co-creation between you and Spirit, and to see what comes through, because I know your light and I've witnessed your light, and many of your listeners are also so drawn to your light. That's why they're your listeners. So how special we get to be here today. So thank you, Migena. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Spirit, for also leading and guiding. And yes, are you ready?
Well, I'm so touched. Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready, but I'm so touched, may I say. And thank you so much for doing this, Leilani.
Mm.
It's an honor,
Mm.
honestly. Thank you.
Okay. Spirit just wants to know in this moment, what is in your heart? What is your heart feeling in this moment?
Well, right now I'm feeling really, really deep gratitude. Deep gratitude for you seeing me, for Spirit seeing me, for having so much support all the time around me, even in moments when I've felt that I haven't had support, that I've been alone. It's that great reminder that I'm always protected, that I am always loved, that I'm seen, and of course that I matter.
Yeah. There have been times, and this is something that you still somewhat are moving through, and that we all can relate to, of feeling the grounded in loving support and being seen. They want you to share and talk about the times in your life where you have felt lonely, is the word that's coming through, very lonely and unloved. Those times where are the pillars? Because we feel it so deeply now. this wouldn't be happening for you now, but speaking to those times would be beneficial for all of us.
Mm. True, there have been times in my life, and uh, actually, the recent year, like from July even to now, it has been a time of struggle and also feeling alone quite a lot, and also because there has been a lot of shame and guilt, like mainly put on myself, because you know how I have had my identity very much connected to my business and to my worth connected to my success as a coach, as a trainer. Well, the whole world went through a lot of changes the last year, and that uncertainty in my business, which I had, for example, last July, I had almost like six almost signed contracts that were going to start in September. And in September, none of them
Mm.
happened. So like the carpet was pulled under my feet. And so I found myself in a place where I felt very insecure and also very lonely. And and also low self-esteem, low self-worth as well, because it's like, what's happening? Like, what is all this about? I couldn't figure out like what was the lesson that I needed to learn here. And the guilt and the shame was there because it was like, I cannot be here at this moment in my business, right? It's like I cannot be going this deep down. So that was really tough. And so that was one of the, I mean, the recent parts of being lonely, but it dragged for quite some time. And I would only say that now, also being through a lot of work and healing, also with you, so it feels quite different, and I'm able to talk about it.
What would you say? This is interesting. What would you say is where did this thread come from? Because it didn't begin with this experience in your coaching, right? It didn't begin in this experience of losing those 7 contracts. That was always within, and the situation triggered the wound that was within you. And so when they ask this thread, this, where was it tied to? Do you know where it came from around identity and worth, and frankly, what's coming through, as you tell me if this is resonant, lovability
Mm.
for, if if I am not worth this, then do people love me and like me and want to move forward with me? Is that also true? So it feels like there's a two-part question to that. Yeah.
Mm. I love that, because especially the wound that you were talking about, it's, for me, one of the biggest wound is the wound of betrayal, right? That somehow I also manifest, and it has been in a relationship in Portugal that it was even emphasized more, where I was in a relationship with someone that betrayed all the time, lied all the time. And that somehow also, well, sparked, first of all this healing. And and also, it did so much to my self-esteem, it did so much to my self-worth, because honestly, it wasn't like I was angry at him. I was so much angry at myself for allowing it. I was so angry at, how couldn't I listen to myself? How couldn't I trust myself? Because the signs were there, my intuition was there. It was just simply that I didn't act on it. So that's why there was so much anger towards me to me. And I couldn't, it was so difficult to hold that anger. And that's also the work that I've been doing. It's like, yes, I mean, that is what I knew at that time, and I was trusting that, that it was not actually true somehow. But and also because, like, living in Denmark, because I've lived in Denmark for so long, like 15, 16 years, in a way, what it has done to me is that it has returned that naivety, in a way, like trusting people for what they say, and trusting
Mm.
trusting that what they say is true. That's why it kind of showed up when I also moved to other countries, not only Portugal, because I've been traveling around. But yeah, that wound was kind of triggered or opened up when I came to Portugal. And I've been healing that wound.
What is
Yeah.
the lesson that is most shown you about feeling betrayed by another and having to look into self?
The biggest lesson is trust myself and love myself. That is what I learned. I think that was a huge, huge learning that I needed to. And I think I have learned it. Trust and also surrender as well. I've always had this. I've learned it, I think, from early childhood. I don't know who has told me, but it was like until you learn the lesson, it will come in small doses, but until you learn it, it will repeat and it will repeat itself. And I think this was the highest. Like I've had other instances in my life where I didn't trust myself and then I didn't learn that lesson. But I think now it was like, boom, this was it. I got it. I got the lesson. So yeah, that was the biggest.
How does that play into the situation with the experience of losing those contracts? How does that personal betrayal and that trust play a part in that experience?
I think it has to do because my self worth was shaken. My identity was shaken. I was also in a healing process as well, even though it had passed a year. So I think, of course, that mirrors as well in the outside world. And even though I thought that I was ready, or I thought, well, there is always this hope that, yes, if business is good, if business works, then I can also work with myself, or then it also helps with my identity. It also helps with my self esteem. So, one way or another, just like an entry point to me, right? And business is one of them.
Mm.
But I can see now that it's a mirror, it's a reflection of where I am, how ready I am, how open I am, how loving and trusting, how much do I also show up of myself, how much work I do on myself as well. I mean, for me, that's like a clear mirror in a way, like the business, how the business goes.
That's well, what a beautiful reminder, Migena, that what we experience in our external world is something that we need to look at internally because it is reflected
Yeah.
within. Spirit, we know where and when or how have you betrayed yourself?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, there have been cases of me not listening to myself, and I still sometimes do because there are moments of wanting to please others, saying yes when I mean no. Sometimes I have this, and I can notice that's where I betray myself, being accommodating to other people's needs rather than my own. And I tended to say a lot of I don't know.
Mm,
And that's where I was giving a lot of my power away.
yes.
And it was like, I don't know this, I need some clarity. And all this year it has been like, oh, I need clarity, what I'm going to do with my business. And I know that that clarity is only found in me to be silent with myself.
Mm,
And that truth is really if I take time to be with myself, and then I know.
yeah.
That has been quite present. When I also let others or be influenced by other people to make my own decisions, I tended to do that quite a lot. Like ask 100 people, what do you think about this? Where should I be? What? But it's not as present now because and it has been with waves, with periods that I've done that. And I can see the pattern is usually when I'm least connected to self.
Mm,
Then I'm like, I need some external validation to what am I supposed to do? What do I need to do? And stuff like that, instead of being with me and connected.
yeah. When was your first earliest experience of betrayal?
Being a child with my mom and my dad. And they're both loving. And they, of course, have done the best they knew at all times. And I've always felt loved and protected. And somehow my mom is quite black and white, it's quite strict. So I'm very different from my mom. But I feel that's when I've betrayed myself when I was little, because it's like I wanted to belong. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be liked and loved. So many a times, because my mom had been, now she's not as much, but it had been so strict. It's so I quieted
Mm.
myself. I was a good girl. I didn't speak as much. I tended to follow, the rules, or if she said something that this how things needed to be, I made sure that things were like that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the adaptation to what it was at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is important because spirit, there are imprints and experiences in our life that we don't feel that we can have control over. And they happen at a very, very early age for us. And also very much in other incarnations and other past lives. You know that from the work that we've done. And so as we become more aware of it, Spirit wants to remind us that if we are able to look at it from a lens of, oh, I didn't also just do this to myself knowingly, consciously. In later years, we have those experience, right? Where you're like, how did I miss those signs in that relationship? How did I not know that I still had inner healing to do? How was I pushing? It gives us a little, it softens the ability for us to bring compassion into ourselves. And Spirit wants to know, in the times for you, Migena, when you feel that you may be turning away from yourself or dishonoring your needs, because you mentioned earlier how you have disconnected from yourself at those times. How do you bring that back to center? How do you remind yourself to be with self?
That's a beautiful one. I love it. As we have worked together, if you remember that I have quite a very strong mind. So for me, the whole work has been to accept that, yes, I have quite a very protective mind, a strong mind. And so it's about acknowledging that part because it wants for me to be protected,
Mm.
right? That has even showed being hyper vigilant on things, and really also my story with being brought up in Albania and going through communism and collapse of communism and everything. So that has been even more emphasized of being super hyper vigilant on everything happening. So for me, how do I come back to myself? It's really quiet in the mind, like acknowledge my mind. Yes, I know you're there. You're there to protect me. Thank you for protecting me. Super grateful for that. And in a way, letting go and then breathing and connecting. It sounds quite easy, but sometimes it's not as. Movement as well connects very much. I connect through movement to myself, like dancing and or even walking or being in nature, exercise. So being in silence very much helps me to connect to me. Like no music, no nothing, just simply being. And this is a recent development because I used to be very much of a doer, like do. I couldn't watch a movie without doing something else, like because it was like a waste of time if I would watch a movie, and I would either crochet or do something manual because I needed to use the time, like this idea of time passing has been very strong for
Mm.
me, whereas now I'm in that place that there, in a way, not there's no time, but it's the time it is. And I am here fully present. I've learned to. And I've also learned quite a lot how to rest,
Mm.
which has been, it's completely new to me, completely new. And well, I needed to crash, I think, to
Yes,
learn how to rest.
you were encouraged by Spirit to rest.
But it's funny how that happens because I mean, I still want to do stuff, right? But somehow my body is like, I can't. I simply can't. So I need to rest in order to do, I mean, what I need to do and gather the strength for what's most important today.
Spirit wants you to share with them what your greatest fear is.
Oh, this is tough.
And
Yeah, but I will share. My greatest fear is having a life in vain, like not being able to have lived a life, to have been able to somehow influence any any person. It doesn't matter, 100, like even one. I feel like then I've done my purpose. So that's my greatest fear. And greatest fear as well is living a life without love.
when you share with spirit and you tell them what your fear is, how do you feel within you? What comes up within you? And because there's a lot that's happening right now, there's so much energy that's rising within you, and it's getting stuck here. It's getting
Yeah.
stuck here, and that's why it was hard for you to say. So share
Yeah.
with spirit so that they can help hold what comes up.
Yes. Well, there is grief. There is grief. There is sadness. There's also some anger, but mostly it's grief, and it's also like something accumulated in my body that it's just, yeah, wants to come out. But it's mostly grief.
Thank you, spirit. What happens if you let go of all that you're holding within around the fear? What happens? Because they're
Oh,
saying, and this is you can let us know if this is true. They're saying there's also fear in letting it go,
yeah, of course.
right? And so what happens? What would happen to you if you tell yourself, I want to let it all go fully, and I choose to let it all go fully? Rises.
Well, that would be beautiful. That would be really beautiful, because then there is freedom. There is more space. There's more joy. There is more joy for living. There is also this openness of what's to come. Like there is a childlike curiosity in terms of, hey, what haven't I thought about how things would look like? Because what is hard to let go, and it has been so hard for me for a long time, it's the picture that I've had for how things
Mhm.
are supposed to look like. And I know we've worked a lot on this, like, because I've always had this vision and this picture of where I needed to be at this age,
Yes.
what I needed to have in my life. And in a way, not that none of it has happened. Other things have happened that I haven't envisioned. But the biggest, like the family and the kids and the husband,
Mm.
that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I also needed to let go of that.
Mm.
Think, hey, what other, even more beautiful things that I haven't thought about
Yeah.
would come true?
What's coming through right now from them is they're saying that the vision that you hold and are, frankly still hold is so minute compared to the vision they're holding for you. They're holding a greater vision, more like it feels more vivid, more blessings, more love than you can ever imagine. So they want to ask you, knowing that, are you able to let go of the vision that you currently hold to fulfill a greater potentiality that is available for you?
Yes. I would love to say full yes. And I know that's where the work that I have done to let go, because it is control. It is some type of control, to wanting to control that vision all the time. And I know, I mean, my life, I'm 44 now, right? So it's, yeah.
Oh,
So it's like I've tried everything possible, I think, to make that vision happen. and then
they're laughing
and
with
then
you.
it's yes, exactly. The only thing I haven't tried is letting go of it, which I need to do, of course. But I've pushed people away because of holding that vision very dear to me.
Yeah,
And that's why, yes, I'm very willing to let go of the vision. Somehow I don't know how
yeah.
to.
what's coming through, and this is something, what has the vision provided for you to hold that vision so tight, as if it you couldn't let go, or you couldn't allow for spaciousness within it? What has it provided you all this time?
It's an anchor somehow. It's like something that I was going towards to, and some kind of hope as well.
That's it. Spirit saying, then, if it is hope that you hold in the anchor of that vision, and they're telling you, as you experience more trust within yourself, more self love, what do you require so that you can allow for a greater vision, a more vivid, more filled with miracles and blessings, more love than you can ever imagine? What do you require to allow for the new vision to come in?
I require surrender and trust. I think that's the only thing. I mean, when my mind speak, if my mind were to answer that question, would be I need some proof, right?
Okay. So, perfect. That's why they're asking this. You require some proof. There is circumstantial evidence in your life. They're saying that they've been like, oh, okay, you asked for this. Whoop, here you go. Here's the blessing. Here's the miracle. Here's the proof.
Yeah,
Even now,
that
they're saying that in this communion with each other, with you and spirit, do you not see your magic? Do you
I
not
see.
see the how you are being held in a greater vision? And this is something that is desired to be shared because you knew this was meant to happen before it came through from me, from spirit. And then this blessing has brought us here today. So spirit's like, can that be proof enough? This circumstance and that circumstance, this blessing, that miracle, can that be proof enough for you?
No, no, it is. But that's true. And it has developed quite my trust, actually, because that has been one of the biggest lessons that I've learned this year. And I knew, like, even the moments where I've had no work, because I'm going towards the work because that's like the most present right
Yeah.
now. And then when I completely surrender to it, I know I will not be left in the middle of the street. I know. And then something comes up like completely unexpected, which is amazing. And I'm super, super grateful. So, yeah, I have witnessed. I've witnessed all of
Yeah.
it.
And
Yes.
this is for everybody, but this is most especially for you because you are here with us today. Not only are you the magic, but you know how earlier you were saying that what is happening outside of you is being reflected what's in you. So you are the magic, and that also is outwardly reflected around you. So if you feel into your magic, you attract more magic. If you say, oh, I want more magic to come to me, you see the magic coming to you. That's an inner reflection of the magic within you. It's twofold. Okay. And so spirit wants that for you in your surrender. Because what is surrender? We speak to surrender, but how do you surrender? There's so many things that kind of energetically take place in your surrender. We have to hold a greater vision for what is possible in magic to allow ourselves to first surrender. That can come through as permission. So, for you, what do you want to give yourself permission for in this next stage of your life? Because you are in a new you've begun a new solar return. It was just your birthday, and we're celebrating you. How aligned today's
Yes.
conversation with spirit? How aligned has it been? Because you have been in new stages through this long time. So what is it for you, Migena? What is it for you now?
Well, opening up to love, to miracles, to presence, and also curiosity,
Mm.
like playfulness, curiosity, like full permission to also show up. What I've done so far, it's like I wanted to connect a little bit with, I've always held myself back because I wanted to show this picture of, yes, I've got my shit together as a coach. So I'm coming out here telling you things, wanting to be in full integrity. And I wasn't in full integrity because I haven't shown all the struggles that I've been with and all my scattered selves, embracing all of them and everything. So what I want to allow more is that full permission to embrace it all
Mm.
and show all of it.
Yeah. When there is, it's so interesting because there is the fear that you were experiencing before we spoke today. What was that fear? What was the energy behind that fear?
It's not, yeah, not having a life in purpose.
Speak more
Yeah.
to that.
It's having a life in vain, meaning living a life being in zombie, being not alive.
That's it. Yeah.
Like, yeah, not being alive, not showing up fully into things, making myself small, wanting to fit in, wanting to belong.
Have you loved all parts of you that have held those emotions?
I am in the
Mm.
process. I think I am.
Mm. Yeah.
I think I'm 85%. Still some. It's a little bit hard. It's funny enough how life brings these things up, right? I've had a lot of circumstances also recently where different parts of me has shown up that I'm also surprised sometimes that it's showing. And different from before, I have allowed it to come up. I have allowed it to be angry at friends. I've allowed it to speak up, which is very new for me. I don't. I will just hold it in and then somehow work it with myself and make all kinds of reasoning to why it was that way, but without being outspoken about it. But of course, it comes out in a different way. It will come out in sarcasm, or it will come out me stonewalling or something. It comes out. But this time, I also chose to speak it out, even though it was really tough.
Mm.
And I could witness in myself how easier it kind of got and how lighter I felt much faster, because it lingered with me for very long, especially when I have witnessed something unfair and then I hold it and don't speak to it.
Mm.
It just lingers. And then I beat myself up. Why didn't I say something? Why didn't I do something around it? So, yeah,
Mhm.
life is teaching me also to love those parts. And I'm grateful for that.
What
I'm
are
really,
you
really grateful.
most, I love this question from Spirit. What have you been most surprised and delighted by as you learn about yourself in this version of you in this stage of your life?
that's that sometimes I feel like a child. And it's tough. It's tough to also say, hey, actually that little thing triggers me. I don't want it like that. I feel like a child sometimes if I mention those things, but I think it's important as well, because if a child says, oh, why did you move that pen, and start crying, I feel like I haven't allowed myself to be that child. I always have a reason behind. I justify more other people than justify my own feelings. So that has shifted. So I will cry about moving that pen because that was important to me. So
Yeah.
that was that surprised me.
What is most exciting about the path that you're on right now?
Uh, the exploration, the surprise, the unknown as well. It's like I've always had a feeling like wanting to control things, like wanting to know how things would turn out. But right now, I don't know what it comes with, age or maturity or experiences. The known kind of bores me, if I would say so. Like, of course, there is safety in the known for sure. And I also like to know things and I love safety. And I'm also quite want my safe place and everything. But the unknown really excites me.
Mm.
Yeah. That's exciting.
What is your greatest desire
Oh, God. Mm, the greatest desire
or desires?
to love fully and be loved fully, unconditionally. And it doesn't mean, by a partner. And I think I have that already in my life. I have amazing family. I have amazing friends. I have so much love around. So in a way, that desire I already have.
Mm,
Right? Yeah,
yeah.
I do.
What is your hope in the coming months?
My hope is that I strengthen more and more the connection to self and to spirit, and that I live a purposeful life, and that I embrace all of me, like that 80% becomes 100. And my hope is that trying to find a way how to serve best.
Mm.
So my hope is that I find a clear vision of how to serve best,
How do you serve
in my
yourself
life.
best? Spirit wants to know.
Well, by listening to myself, by being connected, by trusting and taking care of me, resting, yeah, taking care of me. I think that's really important right now, like health, body, mind, spirit. Yeah, really also resting quite a lot.
Do you trust Spirit is taking care of you now?
Yes, I do.
What percentage is that?
Oh, that's 100.
It's beautiful. What are they not asking you, Migena, that your soul wants to share for the sake of sharing for yourself right now?
What my soul wants to share, that life is beautiful, life is joy. We have choices and we have the free will. And it's also around how much we see the gift of life, how much we acknowledge the goodness that is there. Because as humans, we tend to go for what we're lacking, what we're not having in our life. And that has been my lesson. When I shifted the attention to, hey, what do I actually have? What am I grateful for? What am I really thankful for? Even my energy shifts immediately. So my soul really wants to acknowledge the gratitude and wants to acknowledge the joy of living, even with everything that is happening around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are held in such love, such reverence. I've known you for many years now, and your light is different. Your there's an ease that you hold that is more intrinsic to you than anything that you've like. It's so, when we shine our light, Spirit saying, when we shine our light, it just is. Light is shown. You cannot hide the light. You cannot say, like it just is. And that's how I personally feel from you. Your light is just there. It's there. It cannot be quieted. It cannot be tamed. Like your wild and beautiful hair, right? It cannot be tamed. It just is. There's in your self discovery of the delta, Spirit's asking between that 20% that you feel you're not there yet. What is the acceptance that you desire in that? Where is
Mm.
in that wants your light to magnify on and to amplify on and say, okay, here, love me?
Oh, that's so beautiful. Because I think it comes with permission. Like the light is on, honestly, it's just me standing in my way, like nothing else. So the light is more to be shined on all the parts. I think it's more, the light is also to be shined on the fears, like letting go of fears more and more.
Yeah. So in this moment, Spirit is asking, Are you able in this moment presently to make it 100% right now?
Yes, right now I'm there.
Yes. So, what a beautiful, it doesn't take long and it doesn't take much
Yeah,
for us to
true.
get there. So, in this, you're so present right now, you're so present to yourself, to your light,
Mm. Mhm.
to your essence. And so, what is here that you want to hold and keep to give yourself permission for as you move forward?
It's the presence and the connection, as you said, and also the love and that reassurance that no matter what, I'm supported,
Mm,
right? Because in this past year where I felt a lot the loneliness and feeling lost completely, I didn't feel the reassurance that I was supported because I had lost connection to self, to anything that was also higher than me. I think that's the thing that binds things together.
yeah, that's so beautiful. There's so much love. Spirit is just thanking you, Migena, for your light. Your light is in service. You are in and of service. Even if it's just the one person that you say that you desire, that one person, the most important is you, right?
Sure.
And how beautiful you're evolving, how beautiful you're expanding, how beautiful your magic is being like kind of blessed upon you. Because I feel it personally as me, but also spirit saying it's there, it's creating um, this energy in the collective that is so needed. So there's so much gratitude for you today. Thank you for speaking with us. Thank you for opening your heart and sharing what they're saying, what humans speak to as vulnerabilities, but it is really the human experience. It is so important that we speak more of this truth out. So there's so much gratitude for you today, for all that you are, for all that you've shared. Thank you. Thank you, Megan.
Well, thank you. Thank you for making this possible. I'm really, really deeply, deeply grateful. And thank you, Spirit, for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. For you listeners that have seen yourself in Megena's stories, that has opened your own heart of resonance to the energies and emotions that she has felt, reach out to her and let her know. Let her know how she's impacted you and what a gift she is. I'm becoming very touched and emotional by this because this is how energy works. There is the receiving, but there's also the giving. And for so long, you have been a giver for so long. And so please, if you're listening, please share with Migena the gifts that she has imparted unto you and blessed you with, and what her stories and shares have meant to you. So thank you all so much for being a part of this spirit-led communion and co-creation with Migena and the Divine. Thank you so much. Many blessings.
Thank you for being with us in the Life's Lessons Lounge. Remember, every story has its wisdom. Join us next time for more insights and inspiration. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep sharing your own story.